Hey guys, welcome back. So this week I'm going to approach the topic of creating melodies for your tracks. It's something which is maybe a little bit daunting when you first start out, and especially if you have no music theory training like myself. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips and tricks to help create more interesting and dynamic synth lines. And I'm also going to be referencing this book a little bit. It's by Dennis DeSantis, and it is Making Music, 74 Creative Strategies for Electronic Music Producers. It was actually produced by Ableton. I think he works for them. It's a really useful book, lots of cool tips in there. So I'll put that in the description as well if you want to pick that up. And I'll also be breaking down a track that I like by Dashel and Sam Brickle called Aspect, and looking at the bass line in that and how we can learn some stuff from that as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So as I said before, I thought I'd break down a melody which uses some techniques I want to demo. That being the bass line from Aspect by Dashel and Sam Brickle, which I recommend you checking out before you hear my version, as I've not really tried to recreate the patch, just the MIDI. Okay, so as you can see and hear, the pattern plays twice. The first iteration ends on a singular root note, the note the pattern starts on. The second time around, we get a flourish an octave higher than the main melody. What we have here is a call and response. The first 3 bars feature a melody with notes increasing in pitch. We can view this as a phrase asking the question, the call, which is then resolved in the final bar, which returns to the root note. Notice how the final bar seems somewhat separated from the melody of the first 3. If we focus our attention to the melody, we can also take some points away to apply to our own work. The first thing to point out is how the notes in the melody are structured. We don't see more than 3 notes ascending or descending before the melody jumps up or down dramatically. This staggered rise in pitch of the notes creates intrigue, while increasing over time gives us our call. As a rule of thumb, if your melody's been rising by smaller steps for a while, it might be best to throw a jump up or down in pitch. As you can see, we don't need many notes to create an impactful melody. Here we only have 5 notes, with a C being played over 2 octaves. Nice, so let's apply this call and response and our newfound knowledge to our own tracks. First off, here's a loop that we're going to write synth line for. I've just dropped in this synth patch to play the melody. Okay, so here's what I've come up with. Again, we can see that there isn't more than 3 notes consecutively moving in the same direction before we jump up or down. We're also rising in the first 3 bars, posing the call, before resolving the pattern in the final bar, moving down and responding with the response. As you can hear, when I highlight each note in each bar, the pitch raises before it resolves in the 4th bar. Another point about writing melodies, mentioned by Dennis DeSantis, is to have the higher notes play only once, and if possible, on the strongest beat. That's the 1st and 3rd bar. We can also experiment with pitching the response up or down to get a different effect. We're also not restricted by the same instrument. In a lot of dance music, we hear a call posed by one instrument and the response coming from another. So let's take the final bar and move it to another patch that I have here, and take a listen. And there you go, an even more intriguing melody. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from that. I hope that breaking down that track at the start helps. It's quite nice to look at, professional examples of these things and then learn something from it and take it into your own tracks. So, like I always say, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Really helps the channel out, and I'll catch you in the next one.